Oh shit! Why is my look at that? My camera's not even. Give me one sec.
Nice.
Look at Everybody just stare at Jaden for a sec.
Hi guys.
Can you just like hum the draft theme for like a little maybe like I don't know like 30 seconds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just go for it whenever you're ready. Okay. I like that. I like that. Dude,
I
that
think that
was
was I'm pretty sure that was Monday Night Football, but I don't know if they use the same one.
yeah, no, that
We're
was
gonna look
Monday
into
Night
that. We're gonna look
Football.
into that tonight.
That was Monday Night Football, man.
Yeah, that was Monday Night Football. Hey
It's
man.
okay. It's okay.
Potato potato. TSPN.
Oh, there I am. Let me get my
Oh
see
shoot,
my
that's a
I know. But my box is so much easier to edit than your guys's cuz like I don't have to do the bullshit with the whatchamacallit, like the why am I struggling to speak? I don't have to put the filters around it or whatever. Yeah, if that makes it clear for anybody. That's making it larger.
phone's on charge.
Yeah.
Phone charge.
How many? What's it? T minus what now?
Hour and a half.
Hour and 25,
6:30.
baby.
Dude,
Fuck yeah.
Are we live, by the way?
Yeah, we are
Okay.
live.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm waiting. We put the notification out for. We're taking Q&As. In this episode, this is kind of just a casual one. We're just excited as fuck for the draft, so why not talk about it, freelance some conversation, and any questions that anybody has, throw them in the chat, man. Unless you're the clown person from that one time, and we get
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do
Yeah, but fuck yeah, man. Today's the day. We got the 2022 NFL draft coming up in T-minus now 1 hour and 24 minutes. Super fucking pumped. Me and Jaden were talking about it before we started rolling. As far as like and we'll get into the Steelers, but as far as like Washington, I'm not compared to other drafts, and you said it perfectly. You were like, we've been higher, and that's true. And I've been more excited when we've been higher on the list. But I mean, like we could really draft almost anything, and I wouldn't be upset about it. Like there's not some glaring need that we're looking to address. Like we could go any of the names that are in debate up there except quarterback. Please do not go quarterback. Jacob. He said, "Go Ravens, man. You got any questions for the flock? Wondering what they're gonna do. But let's hop into the rivals, which you are done. And we were talking about this before the podcast too. It's fucking miserable that I don't have a jersey yet. It's also fucking miserable that Washington, the commies, have not put the black and white jerseys on our whatchamacallits yet on our team store." It's fucking whack. I don't get it. Pissed about it. But I guess I should really. DHK jerseys look awesome on Steelers.
Yeah.
Like
this one isn't DHK. This one's real, but all of my other ones are.
We had to pull out the official merch on draft day. Huh?
Yeah, I know. Shout out to Lake, little Christmas present. But
oh, sweet.
It's Najee, man. That was our first round pick. I'll probably be rocking a Malik Willis jersey this time next year. Hopefully.
Ooh.
Who knows? I just don't make me buy a lineman jersey. I know that our line sucks. Just don't make me buy a lineman jersey. That's all I have to say.
Well, your expectations are extremely high for your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah.
Has anybody
we'll
known the Steelers to be like, oh, we want to trade up to draft a quarter? Like, well, also you got to think about like the Steelers haven't been bad in forever. Like,
I mean,
so like, why would you have to trade up?
Need.
Yeah, exactly, for anything. So it's weird, but yeah, you guys, I guess you could be embarking on a new quarterback journey tonight. Hopefully, it's not. Ooh, never mind. That was was gonna mention. Never mind. I'm not even gonna say it because rest in peace, my boy Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah, we'll just
yeah. Rest in peace. But yeah, it's fun shit. Starting on a new quarterback journey. Are you really like? Is it Malik Willis or die for you? You don't want.
I mean, yeah, we'll get into it a little bit more when the Steelers are up because we're just gonna run through the mock that I put up on
Yeah.
Instagram. But yeah, it's pretty much like the other name that I've heard as far as quarterbacks go is Kenny Pickett, and if we take Kenny Pickett, I won't know what to do with myself. I will have a nervous breakdown because I don't like Kenny Pickett. I don't think there's any upside with Kenny Pickett. And this like perceived like he's pro ready, like you can put him in and he'll be a great starter. It's also not true. So I don't see the appeal to Kenny Pickett. So it is Malik Willis or bust.
One thing that I was talking to you about it before. One thing that I thought was interesting today, and it's not like Kurt Warner has spent his days breaking down draft prospects, but he was like, look, like everybody, and we've gotten to an age in the NFL where all the quarterbacks that are really good right now are athletic as shit. And that's just like, and now that's an expectation for all great quarterbacks to come. But look at a guy like Kurt Warner, bro. Like, I mean, he was working in a fucking grocery store, played in arena football, like, and then he became one of the better quarterbacks in NFL history. So, who says that a guy like Kenny Pickett can't be that? You know, like, I mean, the intangibles don't speak to that, but they didn't for Kurt Warner. You know, so like,
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that Kurt Warner was the one saying that because, like, if anybody has any sort of like weight on that opinion, it's Kurt Warner. You know.
Yeah.
So, and I keep mentioning these fucking screenshots. Maybe I'll go back and find them later on in the podcast. But all the draft grades for these guys very well aligned with most of the draft grades handed out in the past few years for quarterbacks. So like anybody that's trying to say this class is like dog shit terrible compared to the rest of it's not as good. It's not as good as previous quarterback classes. But like anybody who's trying to say that it's like the worst of all time, it's just incorrect.
Yeah, it's definitely not the worst of all time. I mean, you could probably put it in there with like 2013 is the one that's constantly brought up with EJ Manuel being the only guy taken in the first round. I just think that there's
was Gino
not
in
as
that
much
class too?
at the
Yeah,
top.
Gino was in that class too.
Yeah,
Right?
Gino was the second guy in that class that was taken, but I think in this class you just don't have like the obviously you don't have your Trevor Lawrence, your Joe Burrow, your Kyler Murray, and then even then you don't have like a Justin Fields type player or even like a Justin Herbert, a Tua, or hell, even like a Jordan. Like there are some people that would say, and even I said this when our quarterback situation was still a question mark, or it is now, but months back, like Jordan Love would probably be like in the top 1 to 2 quarterbacks in this class, and he was a borderline first round player when he got drafted. So I don't know. I still like. Obviously, I'm still all in on Malik Willis for Pittsburgh just because that's kind of the only option. Kind of put ourselves in this hole, but I don't know. If the quarterback's not going 1, then you probably don't have the best quarterback class. That's
Yeah.
just kind of how it's been.
No, that's true. I mean, we could still, dude. Peter Schrager, right? Not too long ago, tweeted about the Lions looking at quarterback, and I know,
Yeah, I've seen
obviously
that.
they
That's
have
like,
the late pick, but
well,
is there
I think
any
almost
shot that a
sure.
Willis goes to?
Well, this is what I've heard is that they think that they're going to be too good next year for like a Bryce Young and a CJ Stroud, and that very well might be true. I mean, you look at the team that they're starting to build here. You add Aiden Hutchinson, you get Jeff Okuda back. The offensive line's probably top 8, top 5, something like that. You've got receivers like Amon-Ra St. Brown starting to develop. You've still got Hawkinson. Like they probably aren't going to be picking in the top 2 or 3 like your Houston's, Atlanta's, those types of teams. So if you really want to bet on traits now and get Malik Willis at 2, you have that opportunity to. I don't think it's the best idea to pick Malik Willis 2. I love him as a player, but 2 is like that's a little rich. And I think they should stick with Aiden Hutchinson. I think that if Aiden Hutchinson makes it to 2, which seems like all betting markets are pointing to at this point in time, he will be there at 2. And
What happened with that, man? Like it makes too much sense. Aiden Hutchinson going back to Michigan, like Michigan boy. That's all great. That's all well and good. But like, how did we get to this point where Trayvon Walker, who early on in the draft process was what, like late
Oh,
teens, 20s.
you want to? So I looked at our first mock draft, and trust me, there were a lot of things in there that would not be right
Flying.
today. But Trayvon Walker was the 30th pick in that mock
Mm.
draft, and like that was like, huh. And even our second mock draft, which was probably put out right after the Super Bowl, I think Trayvon Walker was 16th to the Eagles, and then I did another one where he went to the Eagles again at 16. So I like just a couple months ago, it wasn't that crazy to say that he's like a mid late first guy, and still people are saying that like just like based off of not solely off of production, but because obviously solely off of production, he's like a third, fourth round player, but everything that's there, you add in. I understand why like there's top 10 appeal. I can't get behind him at number one. And I know that Balky likes this type of player, and I know that he hates Jim Harbaugh, but honestly, dude, if I'm picking number one, it's Derek Stingley. I don't think Aiden Hutchinson returns the value at number one. Like with the because he's not like completely free of all question marks. He has 32-inch arms as a 6'7" player. That's not normal. Like a guy that's has that short arms, like Shaq Barrett, Clay Matthews, like
Linebacker
is like
quality.
let's say. Yeah, let's say that like he is Shaq Barrett, and that's what he gets. You get for like the next 10 years is like a borderline Pro Bowl to All Pro type player. Like, is that worth the number one overall pick?
Hmm.
Is if you just get like a good to great pass rusher. Like, if
I
you want
could
to shoot
see
for the
your.
stars with Trayvon Walker,
Yeah. No, I could see your, like, I mean, if you're looking for the best bang for you, like, they're trying to conform to what makes sense. You know, they need defensive end, but, like, if you bring in Stingley, that's the next Jalen Ramsey in Jacksonville.
and he 100% returns value if he hits. If he doesn't, then he doesn't, and that's I mean Trayvon Walker could not hit either. But like Derek Stingley has shown that he can be the best corner in, one of the best corners in the NFL. He was the best corner in college at 18 in the SEC. Like that's never been done before. And that's why I have him at 3 to Houston. I just think that they're going to fall in love with what he can do and what they have seen versus what they haven't seen or what they didn't see. Like there's a lot of guys, LSU guys that says that he played hurt and that's why, it wasn't as good over the past 2 seasons. Like he tried to play through it and it just wasn't the best product. I think if you're getting a healthy Derek Stingley, he's the best player in this class. I know that I didn't get to put up the big board, but me and Mitchell did like we had like probably like a top 40 or something like that. And like through consensus when we averaged everything out, Derek Stingley was our number one. So I don't know. I
How
can't.
concerned, like, I mean, so the concerns on Derek Stingley, why he's been dropping, but according to you, he's on his way up. And I've seen mock drafts recently. I mean, ever since his pro day, you called it. I mean, ever since his pro day, he's just shot up draft boards. But
And it was like effortless.
mhm.
Like what he was doing, he was like running like a 4.35, just effortless. It looks like he wasn't even trying.
Hmm. Well, that's the thing. That's like he does it. He did not try after he balled out that initial
Yeah.
season. So like work ethic is a concern. Like motivation is a concern. But like, and I've heard that the interview process is a very large part of the draft process, probably more so for a position like quarterback. But I mean, I've heard more and more that the trend is that draft interviews are becoming more and more weighed heavily by teams. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not saying that Derek Stingley's like, oh, look at we got a cat, draft cat.
Yeah. Yeah, actually helped me put together the mock.
Oh fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
He called
I don't
Stingley
know.
going up to 3, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. He really
Good
likes
call.
Stingley.
Good call. And I like Wilson at 11 to the
He-
commies.
he loves Stingley. He's a fellow Tiger. I mean, you gotta,
Mm.
yeah, fellow cat.
Brooch.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I want to say, just like because saying cat, the word cat made me think of it. Whoever drafts Wan'Dale Robinson over the entirety of this draft is going to get a baller, man. They are.
See, the thing I'm worried about with Wan'Dale Robinson is he's way too small. And I just don't think he's that elite level athlete to make up for that size. I will say though,
He's
fellow
small for
Wildcat-
sure. He's small for sure. But like,
fellow Wildcat Josh Pascal though, I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be a mid to late day two guy. He's been moving up boards a lot. PFF really likes him a lot. He's kind of different from like a lot of guys in this class because he's like pure power. Like he's like a Brandon Graham type of edge that you don't really see a whole lot. It's almost an extinct type of player, but I think he's going to be pretty good at the next level.
And last Kentucky player before we move on from high school, but Darian Kennard, like early on, like before like all the workouts.
Oh, dude, we had him
stuff,
in the first round in our first mock.
Yeah, he was like a first rounder, but then he sucked at the Senior Bowl, and then he sucked everywhere else after that. So, like in all the pre-draft process, he was terrible. So, I guess he's dropping around 2, round 3 now. So, kind of wild. Jacob McLaren asks, who's you got at 14? Well, my good sir, how about we just hop into the mock draft and start breaking that shit down? Sound good?
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right,
that's cool with me.
Let's do it. So, number 1 overall. Hit it. Wait. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Wait, no. I keep fucking up the theme. Like, I want to go into Monday Night Football, too.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, okay. Very, very good. Nailed it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Everything's pointing to Trayvon Walker at this point in time. I think the only way that it's not is if Shad Khan puts his foot down and says, if you don't take Aiden Hutchinson, you're fired, to Trent Baalke, because that's apparently his guy. I put it up in the rumor report that Shad Khan wants Hutchinson, Baalke wants Trayvon Walker, and then Doug Peterson, who's a quarterback, offensive-minded coach, he wants Ike Mekwonu. So I don't know what the situation is now. We're about an hour until the draft starts, but all the betting markets point to Trayvon Walker. Number 2, Aiden Hutchinson should be the pick here. If Trayvon Walker is number 1, then we talked about Derek Stingley. I think the Jets go Ike Mekwonu at 4. I just think that the likelihood of an edge being available at 10 is much higher than one of these top tackles. And the Giants are going to go cross than sauce.
Nah.
I think it's smart to take a tackle at 5 just to protect yourself from the Panthers taking a tackle at 6. I know that like it seems to be Kenny Pickett right now, but maybe if Cross is their guy and he's there at 6, they change their thought process. And then the Panthers at 6 are going to take Kenny Pickett. I don't love this move. I don't think anybody loves this move, but this is like the short way for Matt Rule to maybe keep his job in the short term, but in the long term, this is going to have him lose his job. I don't think there's any way that Matt Rule is with the Carolina Panthers 2 years from now. I can't see it. Like,
that's Tyler's guy too. He was super high on Matt Rule.
I don't. They've buried themselves so far by doing this. Like, I mean, if you move out and then you take Kenny Pickett, like let's say you move all the way out to like 23. I know Arizona really likes Jamison Williams. If they moved all the way up to 6 or move all the way down to 20 and you give like Pittsburgh like a discount, because like otherwise you are just going to have to stay here at 6. And like if you do that, you maybe recoup some draft capital, but I can't see any way that he keeps his job regardless of who they pick here. Also, hate Kenny Pickett. I hope Kenny Pickett goes to 6 because that means there's no way that the Steelers can draft him.
That's shocking to me. He plays at Heinz Field.
I know, and I think that's honestly the only reason why Steelers fans seem to like him, because there's like a couple guys that like are all over him, and I don't see it. Like the whole thing about him being like the most pro-ready guy, I just don't think it's true. He still scrambles from clean pockets. He's not as accurate. He doesn't have a cannon. He's not as accurate as people think anyway. He doesn't move through progressions as fast as people think. He's like kind of got all the problems that Malik Willis has, where like the decision making isn't all there, but without the elite mobility, the elite arm, and they probably got about the same accuracy. But like the whole pro ready thing around Kenny Pickett, I just don't think it's true. He was just had this meteoric rise in his senior season. Probably wasn't even like a day one, definitely not a day 1 guy, probably not even a day 2 guy before this happened in his senior season. I can't get with it with Kenny Pickett. But we do have our first trade at number 8, and that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles moving up from 15 to 8. I have been weighing the Eagles as well as the Ravens here because I think if Kayvon Thibodeau makes it to 8, I think both those teams are going to be calling Atlanta, trying to move up. I just think Philadelphia was able to make a better offer where they can offer future picks that the Ravens, like, they don't have that extra second like Philly does from New Orleans. I think this would be a slam dunk for the Eagles if you can get Kayvon Thibodeau at 8. This is arguably one of the best players in this draft. I think I have him as third. Um, so I think that's excellent value at 8. And then my number 1 player falling all the way to number 9. I don't know how true the rumors are about him falling because of the medical stuff. And supposedly Seattle would be very willing to take either Kayvon Thibodeau or Jermaine Johnson if they make it to 9. And then number 10, Jermaine Johnson. They're supposedly considering this guy at 4. I can't, like, Tyler loves him to death for some reason. I can't wrap my head around why you would consider him at 4. I don't even really love him that much at 10. I think he'd be much better going after a Garrett Wilson or a Jamison Williams. But if they really like him and they need an edge, Jermaine Johnson's the best one available at this point in time, and they seem to love him. So again, this is a predictive mock. I'm just trying to and figure out what they do. This is not what I would do. So yeah, it's top 10.
So after the first 10 picks, let's hop into some spicy topics from your top 10. Might as well. Jermaine Johnson, you mentioned him. Why? So I've seen a lot, like, recently, him going in a top 10, and a lot of experts saying that he's deserving of a top 10 pick. What's your argument against Jermaine Johnson going in the top 10?
Okay, so if the board falls like this, where Kayvon Thibodeau is gone at 10, I could definitely see it. But, like, with the Jets at 4, like, supposedly they aren't interested in Kayvon Thibodeau at all, but they're thinking about Jermaine Johnson at 4. I don't know what Jermaine Johnson does better than Kayvon Thibodeau to the point where you'd want to pick that player over him. He was, like, a mid to late first guy, played really well at the Senior Bowl. I just don't think that's worthy of moving, if they pick him at 4, that's like 25 spots that he's moving up. Like, he was a middle to early second round guy. That's almost an entire round if you're doing that. I just don't see it all from him. Like, great against the run. I think he'll be a pretty high floor player. But I just don't see that elite pass rush ability that a Kayvon Thibodeau has. What would you consider him at 4? And like I said, if the board falls like this at 10, definitely consider it. You're basically picking between Jermaine Johnson and Garrett Wilson at that point, and that's totally okay to take Jermaine Johnson at that point.
Gotcha. So you bring up an interesting point with Kayvon Thibodeau. So I mean, early on he was like consensus top 5 pick, and he was that way for a very long time. I mean, for a while he was the consensus number 1 pick. So
yeah.
Why are we seeing this gradual? Well, first, is your sense that he's going to fall outside of the top 6, top 5 now? Is that your sense that?
So the thing is, okay, so if the board, like I said, if the board falls with Walker 1, Hutchinson 2, I think the Texans could take him at 3, but I haven't heard any rumblings about him, especially I have heard way more about Stingley going there. The Jets don't want anything to do with him, apparently, especially considering that they have Jermaine Johnson in that 3 guys that they're thinking about. Then the Giants, I think, are kind of could definitely be in that. But they really like Sauce Gardner. He's a fantastic scheme fit. And then they really like Charles Cross as well. Obviously doesn't make any sense for Carolina to add another edge. And it just happens to be the way the board falls. I think that he'll either go at 3 or he'll go at 8, unless we've been completely misled about what the Jets want to do at 4. And then if he's at 8, man, there's going to be a lot of teams calling Atlanta to move up, because he is that elite level pass rusher that, honestly, if you're picking him at number 1, I don't think anybody's having this conversation about, is this the right move, the same way they are about Trayvon Walker. He doesn't have those holes. He just has too much crypto, and that's, scaring people away. I guess the Jets think that New York media would eat him up, but, there was a video that he was on with, I think it was, one of the NFL Network shows. He was just talking to the guy, you would think that he's the perfect draft. You would think that would be something that he's praised for, is how he handles the media and all that stuff. But yet he's getting, it's a con for him. I don't really understand it. But hey, the Eagles get to be the beneficiary of that, and they get an elite pass rusher.
I like it, man. So last thing, I noticed how you have Ahmad Sauce Gardner going to the New York Football Giants, and there's been a lot of rumors about James Bradbury headed out of town. Do you think that happens tonight? And in general, do you see any player trades tonight happening at all? Player 4-pick kind of trades?
Well, obviously you mentioned Bradbury. The obvious one is Deebo Samuel. And I didn't put that in this mock because I don't know. I feel like we would have heard more okay, it's really heating up now. There's an offer put in or whatever. and there just hasn't been that for like the last couple of days. And supposedly they aren't dead, but like I said, we haven't really heard anything about it over the last couple of days. And the draft's an hour away now, and unless we're missing it, it hasn't happened yet. So I don't know what the deal's going to be with him as far as that goes. I'm going to grab my. Hold on. You good? Okay. Sorry. Cats.
Father.
He's, But damn it, what were we talking about?
Debo trade.
Oh yeah, the Debo trade. It could very well happen. Like I don't believe it's not happened, but at the time I was putting this together, it hadn't happened, and I didn't really feel like doing it. And plus, San Francisco, I don't really know what I'd do with them at 10. Like, would you think about a Jameson Williams or a Garrett Wilson at 10, or do you want to go in a different direction? They've done that in the past where they trade away an elite player and then try to draft his replacement that does a similar thing with DeForest Buckner. Then they trade him to Indianapolis and draft Javon Kinlaw. Javon Kinlaw hadn't exactly worked out so far. But I do think that if they take Sauce, Bradbury's only got 1 year left on his deal. He's a pretty big cap hit. I don't think he makes it through the draft without leaving the Giants. I had him being traded to the Chiefs for one of their seconds in the mock before this one, 2 mocks ago. And it was also in the rumor report, from what I've heard, that he's out of town.
I in regards to Debo Samuel, you're right. I haven't heard anything. It was all this steam, and Debo, I don't know if you saw the video of him at the nightclub, and they had the sign, come back to the 49ers or whatever, and he was like that. And, he's been making all these comments and stuff, but I don't think correct me if I'm wrong, besides from a while ago when the 49ers said they would listen to calls on Debo Samuel. And that I heard an interesting proposition from on the Pat McAfee show, and he was like, God, what was I going to say? Fuck. What was I talking about just now?
Officially 1 hour away.
No, I didn't say
from the
that.
draft.
Oh,
I know,
yeah,
we
are right now.
I just got the 7 o'clock.
Look at that. Bro, what the fuck was I just saying?
Pat McAfee show. Something about Debo Samuel and the Niners, and they weren't listening to offers.
Oh, okay. So, every GM is going to listen to calls. That is just your default. You're going to listen to the call, even if you don't intend on trading that player, unless it's a player I don't know, Patrick fucking Mahomes or something. But, you're not, you listen to those calls. If it's going to be 5 first-round picks, fuck it. You're going to listen to the call. So, every GM is going to listen to the call. It just matters whether or not they are saying that. You could say, we're listening to calls. Every GM is listening to calls. So you can't really look at that, very maliciously. But, I don't know, every GM is going to take calls. The 49ers said they were going to take calls on Debo Samuel, and that kind of turned him off. But I don't see him going anywhere. I see him sticking in San Fran, and he's going to, because according to Schefter, all he has to do is walk in the building and get paid. According to Schefter. But we'll see what happens. It'll be fun, to say the least. Say the least. I think I just lost my guy. Ravens a Debo sleeper? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. So Debo to the Ravens. That would make a lot of sense, because then you could use him in the running game, and you guys pride yourselves on the running game. There he is. What's up, dog? Your box will.
Hello.
It'll dance around for a little bit before it gets there. See, it's getting itself situated.
Yeah.
But Jacob brought up an interesting proposition. Ravens a Debo sleeper, which would kind of be.
I don't know.
They do have to give a
14
whole ton of money to fucking Lamar Jackson, and
yeah, I was about to say the cap is kind of what rules that out for me. Apparently they were trying to trade for him, but I guess once they heard that he wanted $25+ million, probably hung up the phone, because they can't do that at this point in time. I do think, though, for Debo Samuel, as far as Debo and the Jets go, I think it's in the best interest of all parties to stay in San Francisco. I think the Jets would be giving up, apparently one of the offers was 10, 37, 69, and a second next year just to get Debo Samuel and then pay him $25+ million. And I think the best thing for Debo Samuel is to be with Shanahan. And I know he doesn't want to play that running back role, but Debo Samuel, he's great, but he is not a guy that like if you put him in a typical wide receiver
Yeah,
role like a
West
Devontae Adams or
Coast.
something like that, you
Yeah,
can't plug and play. You can't plug and play Debo Samuel. You have to have like a specific, almost a specific package where you get him the ball and just let him do work. And that's why I think it's in Debo Samuel's best interest to stay there. Obviously, if San Francisco is not going to pay him and the Jets will, then I guess, yeah, the Jets are probably in Debo's best interest. And then for San Francisco, like at 10, are you going to get a guy that can come in and do what he just did? Are you going to use Ayuk for that? Like,
yeah.
if Trey Lance comes in and he's not what you thought he is, you've got to create offense somehow. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do it as much as a wizard as Kyle Shanahan is. I don't know if he can. I don't know if he can think something up around that receiving core.
And that's the thing about like Debo that's the most interesting. Like you said, you almost have to put together a specific package for him. Like I don't think he would. Everybody want is like or not everybody, but I've seen a lot of people say that the Packers are a possible destination for Debo, but I don't think he would fit. I
Yeah,
don't think he would fit at all.
and I said to you guys in the group chat, I was if the Chiefs trade for Debo Samuel, someone needs to be fired
Mm.
because they what they would give up for Debo Samuel is probably what they just got for Tyreek Hill, and you would probably be paying Debo Samuel what you've had to pay to Tyreek Hill, and Debo's great, but he's not Tyreek Hill, and I know he's a couple years younger, but Tyreek Hill is that worth is like those few years worth the chemistry that you have with Patrick Mahomes and the ability to literally not play man coverage. You cannot do 50% of what a defense does against the Chiefs when Tyreek Hill is on the roster. I don't think it's worth it for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. All right. So now that we made it through the first 10 picks and talked about a little bit of Debo Samuel drama, let's move on to the next. Yeah, let's do the next 10. Might as well. Fuck it. So I'll leave it to you, my good sir.
All right, 11 got the Commanders making their first draft pick as the Commanders. Your Commanders are going to take the first wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. They seem to be enamored with these Ohio State guys. I contemplated moving down to like grab Chris Olave instead because I think Chris Olave is way too much here at 11. Also, like when Garrett Wilson, did one where Garrett Wilson went at 8 to the Falcons. Then I did trade down because Olave at 11 is bananas. But he falls here. I think it's great. Like you said, you'd pretty much be happy with anything here.
Do you think Olave at
Washington's
11 is bananas?
I think
Bananas?
yeah. No, it's bananas. It's pretty crazy. I'm not a huge Olave fan. Like I think he'll be
Yeah,
good.
me neither.
We'll get to him in a little bit, but like I obviously if Garrett Wilson's there, it's not
I
even a
like
debate.
Gilbert. Yeah, I like him a lot more.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then number 12, we're gonna have the Steelers moving up here with the Vikings. I believe I have it right here. So Pittsburgh's going to send 108, and a 2023 second to Minnesota for 12, 156, and 191. This is for Malik Willis. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show. I don't think there's any way, unless like he goes at 6 or for whatever reason, like nobody's willing to move out, despite everything that we've heard so far, that everyone wants to move out, that they don't walk out of this draft with Malik Willis. There's been too much connection go on between the two. Like if he falls to 20, oh my God, thank you. I think that just as like insurance, the least they'll do is move up to 15 to just make sure that New Orleans, because like New Orleans might be dead set on taking Trevor Penning and Chris Olave, which like a lot of people's thinking is they're just going to take a tackle and a receiver and that's it. But I'd imagine if Malik Willis is on the board, then you start thinking like, okay, he's here. We don't have to move up to get him. We could definitely do this and take something else at 19, but they're going to move all the way up to 12 here to get Malik Willis. And 13, we have another trade with the Texans trading down with the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a big move. Chiefs are going to move up 16 spots. They're going to send 29. Yeah, they're going to send 29, 30, 50, 94, 121, 133, and 233 to Houston for 13, 37, 108, and 208. One of those two. I think that the Chiefs are going to get a little scared at this point because I know that like the wide receiver run didn't happen early. It could happen way earlier than this because you could have the Falcons take Garrett Wilson, then the Jets take Drake London, Washington take Chris Olave, hell, I mean, the Texans could take Jameson Williams, and there goes the top 4 wide receivers off the board in the span of 6 picks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got more wide receiver needy teams down the board. You've got the Eagles still there. The Saints are still there. The Packers pick twice before you do. Like there's a lot of teams that will be thinking about a wide receiver, and I think they're just going to eliminate that by moving up here, grab Jameson Williams. This is a big time speed threat. I don't wouldn't say a Tyreek Hill replacement, but
A
definitely
Tyreek
gives you
Hill
that.
replacement.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
gives you that element again. That I just don't think MVS is going to be able to provide at a high level, and hopefully this is like your guy for the future. This is your wide receiver one. It's not your
And you
prototypical. Go
and you
ahead.
forget they already have Juju there too on a
Yeah,
really small deal.
yeah,
So
and I've like liked them grabbing like Pickens at 29 or 30 in the past, but I don't think Pickens is going to make it there at this point. Um, so yeah, they move up here to 13 to grab Jameson Williams.
I
Then
like
the
that.
Ravens are up. They're going to grab the big boy, Jordan Davis. I'm not 100% in love with this pick. I do think that, like, if Karlaftis obviously is there in this mock, I think that that could be something they do. It's just not as exciting. If Jermaine Johnson happens to make his way to 14, I think that they grab him. I also think that, like I said, they're in the conversation to move up to get Kayvon Thibodeau. But I think pretty much regardless, this is going to be along the defensive line. I hear Penning is like in conversation for them. They got Morgan Moses. I don't think it's worth taking him with 14 right now. Like he's just not that good of a tackle prospect. All right, moving on to Atlanta. They traded down from 8. They're going to be here at 15. They're going to take Chris Olave, wide receiver from Ohio State. His pro comp is actually Calvin Ridley, so can fill that role
Does
this
that
year. Like,
come with the gambling and all that? So like
yeah,
he is
yeah,
going to get suspended for a whole year at some point in his career.
yeah, and I
Okay,
mean
cool.
that's probably why he's fallen this far. Is like you got to take that into account that he will lose a season to gambling.
Mm.
But that's
And
just the cost of doing
you
business.
don't know how early that's going to be.
Yeah,
That could be in year
honestly,
1. That could be in
yeah.
year 6. You don't know.
And hopefully you've moved him by then. Like if you're like you've got him past his rookie contract, you can think like, okay, well that gambling suspension's coming up soon. We've got to move him.
Just some team, just whoever drafts Chris Olave fucking dishes them for like a
Yeah,
sandwich and a bag of chips,
yeah,
and they're like, "Let's go!" Got rid of him before
yes.
he got suspended for the
Right,
whole
right
year.
before the suspension. Drake London was definitely in play here. I don't like Drake London as much as everybody else does. I think you're going to have to play him in a slot role, and I think you'd honestly have to play him kind of the same way you play Kyle Pitts. And that, like, having two players like that is great, but having to create a role for two players like that becomes pretty difficult. All right, number 16. This is Kyle Hamilton. A little bit of a slide. This was a guy that I had in my top 5 pretty religiously throughout the early mocks. I just I couldn't like I didn't want to buy into the combine stuff, but dude, like I just don't have a whole lot of good. I don't have a whole lot of faith in him playing like a single high, and like safety's already a low value position. And then if you take out, okay, well, we can't use him in single high looks, like you're kind of limiting him to a box safety. And that's why the Saints, I think, are a great fit because they can use him in a similar way that they use like Malcolm Jenkins, where he's almost like a Mike linebacker. Because he's got the size to do so. And I think this would be a slam dunk for them for him to fall to 16 and for them to get him
Definitely a lot of.
here and
Would you
there.
say like? I mean, his pass coverage skills aren't terrible. Like he's
No, they're not terrible. It's just like
because
I
moving
don't
him
know.
to
I
like a
just
linebacker role sounds pretty drastic, in my opinion.
yeah, maybe not like you're like a actual 3 down linebacker, but kind of like a Jamal Adams type of where he just plays like a box safety type of role. And I don't think that's worth
See,
a
like
top
I
10 pick
think,
or
like I don't know if I'm tripping. I think he's better in pass coverage than guys like Jamal Adams and Landon Collins,
yeah,
who have been
he
moved to that
definitely is.
like linebacker
I just
role-ish.
think that with what happened with Jamal Adams, where he went fifth, was, fairly good, then got traded for 2 firsts, but then you see, okay, well, we cannot put him in coverage. And I know Kyle Hamilton's probably better than Jamal Adams, but I think that's just scaring teams away from taking a safety this high. Um, and a lot of these teams, like I don't see the value for them to take a Kyle Hamilton. Like the Lions are cool, but they're picking it too. Like I've done that before, but with Aiden Hutchinson, I don't think that's a conversation. Moving on to number 17, we're going to have another trade here. I kind of got a little heavy with the trades in the middle of this draft. The Chargers are going to move back with the Dallas Cowboys. The
There's gonna
Cowboys
be
have
before you
really,
get into the Cowboys pick, like that's a very common trend that we're gonna see in this draft. Like there's going to be
yeah.
a fair amount of trades because a lot of people want to trade down, and like not a lot of people want to trade up, but there are going to be teams that are going to take advantage of that opportunity, and there's going to be a handful of teams. Over under on how many trades tonight?
I don't know. I think the line that I saw was 3.5. I've got 4 in this mock.
Mm.
It just depends on when people start. Because if if Kayvon Thibodeau starts falling, that's an extra trade.
Mm.
Um, if the Steelers feel that they need to move up to get Malik Willis, that's a guaranteed trade. Um, and then this was Dallas is apparently moving up for a wide receiver. Olave's gone, but they like London. I think London does. You can definitely put him in something in that Dallas offense. Um, they're going to give up 24, 56, and 88. So their first, second, and third round picks this year, and they're going to send that to LA for 17. LA's third round pick, and I believe a fifth round pick from LA. Um, LA gets to recoup that second round pick that they sent for Khalil Mack. So I think this is a great trade for them. And with the board not really falling in a favorable way for the Chargers, I think that's the best move. Cowboys move up and grab a receiver here. I think Drake London's going to end up being a slot in the NFL, and you have Gallup and CeeDee Lamb on the outside. Um, who would have thought, like this time last year, would you say that the Cowboys would be drafting a receiver? Like that's kind of crazy to think about.
I know. But
But
there's been a lot of
seems to be
rumors
what they're.
about the Cowboys really wanting a first round pick, and Jerry Jones, he's the splashy kind of guy. I don't know
Yeah,
if you saw the
and I think
I don't know if you saw the
yeah,
interview.
like the
Yeah,
interview with him, he's like, oh yeah, he took Taco,
yeah, hmm
and I took Micah Parsons, which is hilarious by the way. That's so funny. But moving on, division rival, number 18, the Eagles are going to stay here and take Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie would probably have been the pick if the Vikings stayed at 12. Um, I just think that they took the value of being able to move down, grab extra picks, and grab a pick next year because you will likely be taking a quarterback next year. Kirk Cousins' contract expires after this season. You've got to make some decisions pretty soon on that. The Saints are going to take their second first round pick. They didn't move at all. They're going to take Trevor Penning here. The wide receivers, all the top end wide receivers are off the board. They've needed a tackle. They want their Teron Armstead replacement. I don't know if Trevor Penning's the guy, but they seem to think he is. So here we are. The Vikings down here at 20 with the pick that they got from Pittsburgh. They're going to take Kyrie Elam. They didn't get Trent McDuffie, but honestly, I think I like Kyrie Elam a little bit more.
I
He
haven't
can
seen
actually play
Elam
outside
in a
where,
lot of like first round mocks,
well,
honestly.
and for a like as close as like a couple days ago, like consistently in like every single one. And then like I'm seeing reports that like multiple scouts say that he will at worst be the fourth cornerback taken, which means Stingley, Sauce, McDuffie, and then Elam, like which essentially to me means he's going to go before Andrew Booth. I like think there's a possibility he could go before McDuffie because McDuffie probably going to be confined to a slot role because he is smaller. He's just not going to be able to play on the outside, whereas Kyrie Elam is like 6'1", 6'2". He's like pretty much your ideal cornerback size. So I got ideal cornerback athleticism and has shown elite play, not to the level that Derek Stingley did, but I mean this time last year we were talking about Kyrie Elam as like a top 8 to 10 pick. Um, and hope Minnesota badly needs cornerback help. And it is 7-17, so we might run through this a little
Yeah,
bit.
go
If
ahead.
you have
Go
any,
ahead.
did you have anything
So
you wanted to say about?
Jacob said, "How do I rewind? I missed 14." So unfortunately, my friend, you can't rewind. But the
If he's
mock
on,
draft,
is he on YouTube or Twitch?
he's on Twitch.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's screwed.
So,
Yeah, YouTube
but
you could rewind, but
oh yeah, he's screwed. Just go ahead and check out the Instagram, man. We got the pick right there, and I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. It's the big guy, Jordan Davis, dude. You actually fucking
yeah.
called it at the beginning, which is bizarre.
Yeah, I do like Jordan Davis in Baltimore. I just don't know if I like the value at 14. They do have Michael Pierce there. They
Yeah.
brought him back. They have Matt Abike, who they spent a second round pick on 2 years ago. Like I said, Karloftis is there, and like you definitely consider that. But I do think that's a pretty good fit, though. If they do take Karloftis, you've got the hammer in Karloftis, and you've got a lot of speed with Odafe Owe. Get a lot of contrast there with your two edge guys, but I just think that they're like the one team that would know how to deploy Jordan Davis correctly and like actually turn him into the guy that these like normal fans think he is, of like where he's just going to like literally be able to pick the center up, toss him behind him, and then go get the quarterback. Whereas
What a
that's
pass
probably
rush
not going to be the
move.
case.
That's a new
Yeah,
one.
I mean that's the old grab by the shoulder
The
pads and
old picker upper.
yeah, granny shot it behind you.
The quicker picker upper.
Um,
That's what they're gonna call
yeah,
that one.
yeah, and also the Ravens love stopping the run. If you want to stop the run, this is your guy. Um, so, not, I've heard some Ravens fans don't really like Jordan Davis here because, there's a solid chance that he can only play on first and second downs. And with the way the NFL is going, he might only play on first down. Um, but I think they can really develop his pass rush sets to be able to be a 2 to 3 down player, especially if they can pick his stamina up. You want me to just run through
Yeah,
the
go
rest
ahead.
because we have about
Shoot
okay.
it.
So 21 is Devin Lloyd. I've mocked this 100 times. I pre-made probably about 100 like ish draft cards for tonight. I made one for New England, and it's Devin Lloyd. From what I hear, they're not going to let him get past 21. So I mean, if a team takes him before them, I don't think they're going to move up to get him, but they're not going to let him fall past 21. If he's not there, I could definitely see like maybe they take a Quay Walker. Quay Walker's getting a lot of first round talk pretty late in the process here. And then corner's also on the board as well, just because they lost Stephon Gilmore early in the season, then J.C. Jackson in free agency. So that really deep corner room is now pretty thin. Moving on to 22. I gotta make sure my tweet notifications are off. I don't know what to do. We're gonna stop right here and just pause this conversation. So obviously Schefter and them, they announced the picks on Twitter, right? Like 4 to 5 minutes, however long before Goodell actually says them. I don't know if I should make the Instagram post when I see the tweet or when I see it
You
on
know,
TV.
that's a great point
Because like I want to
because
be early.
so many people like it. It's either you want to get the information earlier or you want the anticipation of watching the draft.
Yeah, and I think because also I lose like all enjoyment in the draft. Like I'm already gonna have to basically be working for free during the draft to the point where I'm not gonna be able to enjoy it as I usually would. But if I just have the picks, I just feel like I'm just like logging shit into a database. I'm
Right.
just like, oh, okay, cool, he's the pick, done. So yeah, I think final decision is going to be I'm going to wait till he says it on TV. I'm going to turn all my Twitter notifications off because I've got like 9 to 10 different guys on Twitter that I have post notifications on for, and I can promise
I
you
do
almost
too,
all of
but
them.
I'm not going to go through the trouble to like turn off the notifications
Well,
and
I
then
know
turn
that
them
I
back
wouldn't
on.
like because if I just see it, I'm going to look up and see it. I'm going to be like, fuck, and because I just ruined it for myself.
Dude, I'm gonna do that
But
actually right now. You've
yeah,
convinced me.
there you go. Go ahead. I'll just talk while you do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
22. George Pickens. This is my guy. This is my wide receiver 2. Um, he has been very outspoken about his affinity for run blocking, and that is one of the things that Green Bay values. And he's a bigger wide receiver, another thing that Green Bay values. There's some character concerns with him. Supposedly, he didn't do very well in his interviews, but I think they might have to look past that at this point because I just don't think that there's a receiver like Traylon Burks has been talked about, but there has to be not in the same way of Debo Samuel, but kind of where you have to have a specific role for a Traylon Burks, and you can't carve out that specific role unless you have guys that can get open outside of him. And quite honestly, right now they don't have that kind of guy. So George Pickens could definitely be your prototypical one. Also, rumor Kansas City trying to move up are willing to include next year's first. So I know that I did 29. I didn't touch any picks
That's a
in next
receiver.
year.
That's a
For their
receiver.
trade up. But
They want a receiver. That's a
dude,
receiver.
but hear me out though. What if they move all the way from 29 to like 8 for Thibodeau? And they get Kayvon Thibodeau because like edge has been a problem for them. Like I think they can fill out receivers like Tyreek Hill. I know that that's a very rare case, but he was a 5th round pick, and like I know they tried to replicate that with Miko Hardman, and that didn't work. But you're never going to be able to replicate Tyreek Hill in the first place. You've got a solid group of receivers. You've got Patrick Mahomes, but you
I was gonna
cannot
say
rush the passer. They almost lost to the Bills in the
Patty
playoffs because
can make
Josh
those
Allen
guys
was
better.
just sitting there.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's just sitting there like this. Because
Remember,
they don't
I
have
think I
the
hit
passer.
one of those during the season. I don't know
Yeah.
who it was for, but
Yeah, he's just sitting there. But anyway, we're gonna move on. Number 23, George Karlaftis. I don't know if this is a fall, this is a rise. I don't know what to think of him at this point. Like I did a mock where he was number 7, and then I did the next mock where he wasn't in the first round. So like I don't know. But Arizona seems to like him. I think that he's kind of similar to JJ Watt, and you have him there, and you can kind of like, I know that that's kind of a crazy player comp to say, I know, but like similar build, dude. Okay, they did like a little promotion, and I know that I'm like extremely wasting time here, but they did a promotion. Chipotle did for like everybody's like all the prospects like their go-to order at Chipotle. His is double rice, triple steak, and a little bit of cheese. He gets that every time, and no, he is massive.
So
And I'm
like,
like, yeah, okay, that adds up.
that's all right. I'm moving him on my board.
Yeah.
That's it. He's
Just
fucking
Chipotle,
JJ Watt.
Yeah.
Oh, that told you right there, dude. You
Yeah.
need to have that's a question you need to ask in the fucking interview,
Yeah.
man. Yo,
That's like a Sirianni question. Like, dude,
Yeah.
what do you get from Chipotle?
right off the bat, what's your order from Chipotle? And if you give me some bullshit, you can just scratch the rest of the interview.
Yeah. All right, 24 Chargers. This is from their pick that they moved down. This is going to be Zion Johnson. I initially had them taking Traylon Burks here, but Mitchell yelled at me. So they're going to take Zion Johnson here. The Bills at 25 are going to take Andrew Booth. This has been mocked 100 times. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Breece Hall, though. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade back and then take Breece Hall because, like, if
That's a question I was
they
going to
stay
ask.
at 25, their second round pick is 57. I don't see them moving up because I do think Breece Hall is like a top 40 pick ultimately.
Kenneth Walker,
And they would
you a
have-
fan?
I'm not as much as Breece Hall.
Why?
I think Breece Hall brings a lot more as a pass catcher. He just checks all the boxes for me. And
Okay.
the Bills have said that they are very interested in Breece Hall, and I think they'd have to move up to get him. So I think moving back into the first or back into the second would be a better idea for them. 26, Tyler Smith to the Titans. He is about as raw as it gets, dude. He's got a long way to go. I think he's probably going to slide into guard initially. This would have been Zion Johnson if he didn't go to 24 to the Chargers, but Tyler Smith, he's got a long way to go. Hopefully he can learn from a tackle and like 2 or 3 years down the road, maybe slide outside to tackle, but probably going to be a guard initially. Daxton Hill, safety / corner out of Michigan, going to go 27th here to Tampa Bay. I think this is a good pick. Okay, rumors, head coach Lovie Smith is pushing for the team to draft Derek Stingley. I wish I could gamble, dude. I had like an 18 prop bet slip ready to go on like this offshore account, and it wouldn't let me do it for some reason. And Mitchell did it on the same site, and it was fine. And it's not like an age thing. It wasn't like a deposit thing. Just wouldn't let me do it. It said you like we can't take bets in your jurisdiction, which I'd imagine means where you are. But me and Mitchell live in the same place. I don't get it.
I mean, it probably had something to do with the offshore account. I mean, call me crazy.
But Daxton Hill at 27, I mean, there's a couple analysts that I like really respect and trust that have him higher than Kyle Hamilton. So, I do think Daxton Hill is a first-round player. And I think it's so weird to think about the fact that the Bucs would take a safety / corner when they have Logan Ryan, Keanu Neal, and Antoine Winfield at safety, and Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy Bunting, and Carlton Davis at corner. And like this is their first round pick. But all those guys
Stack it up.
Like technically, if you don't re-sign anybody except for Carlton Davis, you are dude, I'm getting like tweets like every 12 seconds now.
Mitchell said, "Quick,
all those guys
one
can be
guy
gone.
you both think will completely bust." You go ahead first, man.
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett? Okay.
Kenny Pickett.
Let me look. Fuck, real quick. Ooh. Dude, I think Jordan Davis is going to be a bust. I've been saying that for a little
you
bit.
could definitely see that like in 10 years we're like, oh my god, he was massive, like he just destroyed people, but once he got to the NFL,
everybody, I know Jordan Davis is bigger than most men in the NFL, but like this is the fucking NFL, dude. Like just because you're large does not mean you're going to succeed. Like you need to have some pass rush moves, and he doesn't have that many. So except the picker upper. Anyway,
yeah, of course. All right, moving on. 28. Jordan Davis's Georgia teammate. Devontae Wyatt going to be the pick here for Green Bay. I definitely contemplated doubling up on wide receiver for them. I just don't like – I know like a lot of people like Sky Moore. I know a lot of people like Traylon Burks. I don't like either of them enough to say like, okay, we need to take 2 wide receivers and this needs to be one of them. this also could be a trade down spot if somebody's trying to trade back up into the first round to get a quarterback on that 5th-year option. I think Green Bay would definitely be accepting to calls. But if they were to stay here, I mean, they like to have a big defensive front, and he could play alongside Kenny Clark. There's also off the field issues. Again, I don't know why I just have ignored that for Green Bay. Also, 2 Georgia guys going to Green Bay. Texans at 29 and 30 from the picks that they got from Kansas City. This is going to be Traylon Burks and Quay Walker. Traylon Burks was going to go a little bit higher, didn't. He was my wide receiver 1 at one point, kind of fell
That's a
down.
nice snag
once I'm
for
like,
Houston. I like that trade for
I
them
do think
and
because
that package.
they're like I've said about the Texans 100 times, they're a clean slate. You can take anything for the Texans and it'd be like, okay, yeah, that's passable, and I do think that that's a good player for them. You can use him immediately,
and in a
they can
draft
find
like
a role
this,
for him.
why not move
like
back?
where
You know,
and especially after like the projected move that I made with Kansas City, you're gonna have a lot of dart throws here. So you might as well take one on a guy like this in the first round. And then Quay Walker, linebacker. Lovie Smith loves his linebackers. I've had them take Devin Lloyd before, and Quay Walker getting a lot of first round conversation here. Again, very late, like was not a first round player just last week, and then the lines just kept moving and moving, and now it's like seems to be like a guarantee. I mean, hell, he's like, I'm pretty sure he's like plus 100, or he might even be minus money to be the first linebacker taken now, which would be kind of crazy to me. 31, Tyler Linderbaum. This pick feels too perfect to happen as at the 31st pick in the draft. There was a point in time where he was like a top 10, top 15 player. Didn't do as well throughout the combine process, but I mean, like the perceived notion is that he didn't do as well, but the numbers were all great. He's just smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Kelsey is the person that he gets compared to all the time. Is Jason Kelsey, like the guy that can get out and move. This is a perfect move for Cincinnati.
I love that
you get
for Cincinnati.
Yeah,
I love
you get
them
to completely
adding
do that
anything
overhaul.
that you can get on the line.
Yeah, you put him at center, you move Karras out the guard, and now you have a line of Jonah Williams, Karras, Linderbaum, Alex Kappa, and Lyle Collins. I think that's fantastic that you did that in one off season. So if this happens, great. If Linderbaum isn't here, which is a real possibility, I think corners in play. I think linebackers in play. But they've just built this team out really well, like quietly. Cincinnati, obviously, they went to the Super Bowl, but I think just building depth in a lot of different places. And then 32, the Lions are going to take Matt Corral. This is like my quarterback flyer. I put this in, and I was like, you know what? If I change my mind on what quarterback they want to do, I can just type it in differently because it's the last pick. I could see Desmond Ridder here. I could see Sam Howell here. But Matt Corral's getting the most first-round buzz of any of those guys. I mean, Ritter's kind of getting it because, like, apparently the Saints like him, but probably don't like him enough to take him at 16 or 19. But one fit I do like, I know that I have him going to Detroit here, is, dude, if Atlanta can get Matt Corral, I know that I've been advocating for them to not take a quarterback and just take one next year because you're going to be one of the 3 worst teams in the NFL. But a lot of what Matt Corral does is a lot of what we saw as a prospect on a much lower scale that we saw from Marcus Mariota as a prospect.
Oh my gosh, I was just about to say the same thing.
And then he'll go to Atlanta. You can I know Mariota wasn't exactly a great success story, but he's seen the ropes. He's played multiple different schemes, played for multiple different coaches. Kind of show him the ropes of the NFL if he does make it to Atlanta. And they've apparently done their due diligence on the quarterback. So I would be mind blown if they take one at 8, but hey, they've done their due diligence.
And you said, Mariota, it's not like he's been like a home run in the NFL or anything, but he's a vet, and he's been around the block. Like, he'll be able to teach him up. He's respectable. I mean, he's going to be a starter this year as it sits right now. So
another rumor coming through, Eagles calling teams about moving into the top 10. I don't think this was really a secret. But because like I said, dude, this was a predictive mock. If Derek Stingley goes at 3, I could see the board falling exactly this way for Atlanta at 8, and teams are going to be calling and calling because they do need to do a lot of restructuring to this roster. They need a lot of young talent. And if they can trade out and get like a pretty solid haul from Philadelphia, Baltimore, or whoever, I think that would be great for Atlanta moving forward.
Sweet. All right, man. We're sitting at the 7:32.
God. I'm so happy, dude. I'm gonna be I swear, if we take Kenny Pickett, I will be literally speechless. I will not know what to do with myself for like the next 2 days. I was also talking to you before the show.
Kenny Pickett or Mitchell Trubisky starting quarterback this year? Who would you prefer?
That's the problem. They're the same player. They're the same player. So there's no point. I don't see, like, what are we going to teach Kenny Pickett to be Mitchell Trubisky? Is that what we want? No.
Former number one overall draft pick. Or number 2. Sorry.
Seahawks are desperately trying to trade down. Interesting. Interesting. That
quarterback?
might be because if they're desperately trying to trade down, then that means they're not interested in quarterback. Because if they were, like, if you're interested in edge, like, okay, we'll consider moving down. If you're interested in quarterback, you're staying at 9. You're not moving because you don't want to risk the Steelers or the Saints moving up to jump you.
Yeah.
That means that they're out on quarterback, man.
Oh, fucking rumors are swirling. Rumors are swirling. Adrenaline is high. We're fucking pumped for the 2022 NFL draft, man. So, in about 27 minutes, we'll get rolling. Fucking hype. So, good luck to everybody's teams. Best of luck. I mean, you're building the future right here, man. This is the unofficial start of the NFL season right here, man. So, let's get fucking lit. This is the future. 2022 NFL draft. Let's do it, man. So, the plan, are we still running that post-draft show with Mitchell and Tyler, or is that we'll play that by ear, or?
Yeah, we definitely, I would say that we are as of right now. I don't know when we're going to start because, like, I know we were talking about maybe starting to, like, pick 23, 24, something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, just watching the rest of the draft, or we might just wait until it's over and then go on live for about an hour to talk about what happened. But, dude, I just cannot, like, contemplate, like, the fact that in, like, 4 hours, all these hypotheticals will be proven to be whatever. Like, it will be done. Like, we'll be able to actually analyze what has happened versus predicting what will happen. I know.
Well, coming from your perspective, who's put together fucking bro. Yeah. You put together 7 mock drafts. I can't imagine the anticipation. So.
Again, 100. I've got 100. I was telling you before the show, I've got 100 graphics ready to go. If I get every single pick right, I will have wasted my time on 2/3 of what I did. Because
either way, you're going to waste most of what you did.
Oh, yeah. I just want to see how many I got right. That's why I'm really interested in this mock, because I think that I did, like, I felt so good about this, and I want to see, like, how many I actually got right.
Dude,
because this draft's crazy. Like, if the Lions take Malik Willis at 2, there will not be a single perfect mock, because it will literally set wherever the hell the draft is, it will set that place on fire, because no one, like, it'll be a mad scramble. Like, Aiden Hutchinson could, like, slip to, like, 5 if that happens, who was supposed to be the number 1 pick 2 weeks ago.
I could totally see Malik Willis going number 2, though. And then the question is, what does everybody else do? What does Carolina do then? Are they still going?
Well, I shoot myself. I shoot myself, because then we start considering Kenny Pickett, and then if he's gone, then I'm considering Ritter, and I'm just, no.
Yeah. Well, let's not get you too stressed out. Let's keep you filled. Yeah, light spirits going into the draft, man. Yay. Light spirits. Yeah, have some optimism. So, yeah, man, 2022 NFL draft happening in approximately 24 minutes now. Get fucking hype. Good luck to everybody's teams, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.